All right, we are going to dive into the identity governance piece of Office 365. So let's go ahead and dive right in. We're going to go to Azure Active Directory again, as we have so far in every labs. We're going to go back to All Services. I'm going to come down here and you'll see there have a couple different things. So we have identity governance here, and then we have privileged identity management. We are not going to do the privileged identity management. We're going to do identity governance for the time being. We'll put the little star there in it. And then we get it over on the side. So identity governance here allows us to have several different things. So as I said, let's start talking about entitlement management first. Well, we come over here to access packages. So an access package right now is what? This is, remember, this is like throwing out the example of I'm a new employee and I need to get onboarded into, I'm a new employee of the marketing department and I need to get onboarded into the marketing resources. Well, what do I get? So let's create one here and we'll just call this marketing. I think I spelled that right. There you go. Then we have catalogs, and this essentially gives us the ability, and we're just going to do a general catalog here for the time being. We'll explain that is, but this is essentially for new marketing employees. There we go. Looks good. Easy enough. All right, we're going to just kind of shift through all of these here. The catalog itself is a resources that are available to users. We're going to go ahead and just hit resources. What do we have and what do we want to give them access to? Well, if we go to groups and teams, well, we don't really have anything in here as it stands, but we'll do this PSP Alloway. So this one is just created by everybody. So we'll go ahead and do that. So you're added to it. And then we can come over here to applications and check this little box at the top. We don't have any custom applications. If we did, we would be able to add them on here. SharePoint sites. Again, we have, okay, we'll use this communication site here. So this one right here, just the SharePoint standard site, which you'll be given access to. Okay, so we have the resource of this group, which what do we want? We'll just be a member of it, not an owner. We'll get to that in time, what that truly means. Essentially, it's just a hierarchy. Owner has access to, manage the group, and a member is just a member. They don't really have access to it. Now we're looking at a communication site here inside of SharePoint. We'll just say that you are we'll just say a visitor. So again, we'll get into that when we get on communication sites on SharePoint. So here's the stuff that you get. Now imagine there was a marketing site. Imagine there was a marketing team that you had access to and all of these other things, which actually I think it makes sense right now that I am going to actually create a new team. So I'm going to just do this here and feel free to follow along. We're going to go to the Teams Admin Center. This one will be the easiest to kind of demonstrate the purpose. We'll skip the tour for the time being. We're going to go to Teams, Manage Teams. We're going to add a team. I'm going to call this Marketing. And then we're going to make the owner, myself is fine. And we'll create this as a private team. So go ahead and hit Apply. And this will create the team here, which should be hopefully pretty quick. So guys, spinning, there we go, team was created. And then we'll see we have marketing on there. Now I've come back over here to access packages. This may take a second or so. Hey, it actually popped up already. So marketing, we'll add that in there as well. So they have a team now. Group and team, and we will say that your role is a member in the team. Okay, now these are the things that we have access to. There's a team, there's a group, as well as a communication site, SharePoint site. Okay, do we want to have this administrators assign it? Do we want to have users in the directory to be able to request access to this here, or do we want people not? So this would be for external people. Let's go ahead and do for users in the directory here. And we're going to do all members. And in this instance here, we're going to require an approval. And then, yeah, we'll do a justification. How many stages? We can do up to 3. That's fine. We're just going to choose specific approvers here. We have the ability to use the manager, which is the Active Directory attribute field of manager. So at that point there, they try to request access to this. Then their manager in Active Directory will get an alert saying that so-and-so has requested access to this package, and then that manager has the ability to approve it then. This one here, since we don't have manager and all of that, we're just going to do a specific approver, which in this instance here, we're just going to add our admin accounts, which is right here. Select. We're good, and we just made this decision here in 14 days. We are going to require justification here. And we do have the ability to forward to an alternate approval if no action is taken. That's fine. And enable new request. Yes, we do want to enable new request here. If we shut this off here, nobody can have no new requests can happen. It pretty much shuts down the access package. Requester information. So again, oops, didn't mean to click add localization, but in this instance here, what do you need this for? And then we can do an answer format of, whatever, long text. Looks good. And then we can make that required. Yeah, we can go, sky's the limit on whatever we want to do there, of course. Life cycle, we'll get to that here in time, but we'll say that after 365 days that it expires, we'll just say. And users can request specific timelines. We're not going to worry about that here. And then allow users to extend. Yeah, and then we're going to require access. Hey, after 365 days, I still need access to all of these resources. I'm just going to say, hey, I need to extend, and then it's going to go back through an approval process. We are not going to do access reviews on this one just because I want to keep that separate from this discussion. We'll look at those here in time. Then we'll go to the custom extensions here, is that we can have more of a flow if we want to go with this here, that once the request is approved, then do something to it. And we can, again, sky's the limit on what we want to do with this here. I'm not going to get too far into that. So here's the overview of it. This is the access package for the new employee. We're going to create it. And we're going to demonstrate what it looks like on the user side. All right, so here's the portal link. So we can just click on that here, and we'll copy that. And then we'll jump over into, I'm going to pull up a browser here. I'm going to log in real quick with our Neil Peart. All right, Neil Peart, Pocket Square Professor.live. We're going to request MFA. We're going to sign in. Okay, then we're going to open up another tab here, and we're going to go straight to that My Access portal here. All right, so I am on here, and I'm trying to get this package. And hey, what do you need this for? I'm going to say my job. Need to do my job. Here's my justification and these are just my texts that I put on there, and I'll go ahead and submit. So it's being processed, and I'm going to drag this one off to the side here for the time being, because if I come back over here, I'm the admin now. Hey, we got somebody who is ready, and I can click on it here. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Back over to marketing here. Go to requests. So there's a couple things that I can do. Now I have to wait because I will be getting an email. So let me pull up my email box here that says so-and-so needs to be able to do this. Here's the new marketing group. So this email will be coming in here at some point. Come in with the refresh. Again, this is another one of those things where I'm trying to push it as fast as it can go. Hey, there we go. Got it. Action required. Hey, you got to approve or deny the request. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And it says, you know, hey, Neil is trying to access it. Please approve or deny. I come over here to my access. See the approvals, and I say, okay, that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and approve it. Hey, this all looks good. Request details. Here's everything essentially that they're looking for. What do you need this for? I need to do my job. Blah, blah, blah. Here's the reason. Looks good. Approve. All right. Now, from the approver side, so this would be like the manager, if you will, the manager side. Coming back over here. So it's delivering to me right now. Click view. It's in the process of essentially giving this out to me. So what's going to end up happening here is that if I come into Teams, while that's loading up here, we'll just keep refreshing this. Okay, cool, it's been delivered. And as you see over here, I am now a member of the marketing team. So if you see right here, it just said, hey, identity governance added you. We'll come back to this here, added you to the team, and you've been added to this group here for PSP-Alloway. So as you see on here, everything has been done. Everything has been approved. I now have access to all of those resources that I needed to have access to. So everything looks good there. And as you can see right here, request approved, all good. Pretty much it's been delivered. It's good to go. I come back over here to refresh, and we can see that, hey, this one has been delivered. So we're good. Everybody has access, and everyone's pretty much gotten everything that they need. So again, the problem with this, while this is a cool and useful service here, the problem with it is that we have to think about all of the use cases for it. Is that, all right, we're going to create an identity, you know, a request for marketing, for HR, for IT, for, you know, all of these different things, which may or may not be useful, and it may or may not be difficult to plan through all of that. So it really depends on the organization, of course. But like I said, it's a useful tool. It gives us access to a whole bunch of things that we would need access to without having to go through and ask the individual application owner, hey, can you add me this? Hey, can you add me to that? Hey, can you add me to that? Very annoying and kind of just inefficient. This is a way of being able to be a little bit more efficient with it. All right, so we looked at access packages here. Of all of these things, we can create catalogs and everything. Same concept here is that we would just have lots of catalogs of different services that are available in different SharePoint sites, teams, whatever it is. So let's jump over here to access reviews. So access reviews are super helpful. Now we don't have any created. We're going to create a brand new one here. So we create an access review, and what do we want to review? Teams and groups or applications. So again, I'm going to pick teams and groups, and I want to look at all Microsoft 365 groups with guests. This will include SharePoint sites. This will include teams as well. So all teams and all SharePoint sites that have guest accounts in it. Or I can exclude specific ones if I don't want to. I can add that in there, which is not very useful. But we can come to a scope as well, which is going to be for guest users in this instance. So we're going to come in here and we're going to look for all guests that are accessed. So again, remember, mom and pop shoe shop, shoelace company, they're inviting back and forth. Some things may get stale over time. We can also do this here, which is a super useful one. Here is that users that have been inactive since a specific date will be included in the review. So we will do that, and we'll do 30 days. This is a new feature on here, and it's useful. So we're going to come in here, we're going to stay, and we're not going to do a multi-stage review. I don't want to go through all that process here, but we're going to go through, we have several different ways of doing reviews of this. Generally, the way I like to do it here is that all of the group owners themselves are going to be the ones that are going. So again, remember, I'm the owner of that manager or of the marketing team. So if I had guests inside of that, I would get an email saying that you have guests inside of the marketing team. Do they still need access? Yes or no? So that is easy. We can also have specific users do this. We can have users review their own access, which it doesn't really work well for guests, of course. Or we can have the managers of the users requests review their access. Generally speaking, when we're looking at guests here, group owners are going to be the people that are most responsible for that specific group. They'll know if that guest does still need to have access or not. So we can do this here, recurrence or review. It's going to be for 3 days, let's just say, but I don't want it to be for 3 days. I want this to be a quarterly review. We're going to do a guest review here every quarter starting today, and it's going to be for 3 days long, and it's never going to end. It's always going to happen. It's going to be a perpetual quarterly review. That way that no guest account becomes stale, because after 3 months, essentially, it'll get kicked out. Moving on, what ends up happening on completion of it, I'm going to get a alert saying that, hey, this is ready for review, and then auto apply it, where if I say thumbs up, thumbs down, like, hey, this guest still needs access or this guest no longer needs access, we're automatically going to remove them from it or keep them added to it depending on the scenario. We do have the ability here too that if they don't respond, we can automatically remove, approve, or take recommendations. Recommendations are around the idea of they have not signed into our tenant in 30 days. We recommend you get rid of them. That's what the recommendation is. And actually, I always do that on there. Finally, at the end of the review, send a notification. We could send it to a group of people or whatever we want. In this instance here, I'm just going to choose myself. Now, when I approve a guest, I still need to have this guest in here for more than a quarter. I got to put a justification, just a simple text in there. Hey, they still need to do work in there. Great. Now we can also include or exclude email notifications. There's generally no reason to not say that, hey, you have a guest or an identity review is happening, and it's going to happen during this date here, and click on it. And that's all. There's really no point on checking email reminders as well as the reminders themselves. You'll get one at the midpoint of the review as well. I'm going to go ahead and hit next. We're going to call this review guest access review. We're going to create. So if we created the guest access review, which this will pop up here in time. Now, we don't have any guests in the tenant here, so I can't give you essentially what it looks like, but essentially it looks very similar to the way that we just saw for the approval process. That person will get an email. You got to go through the access review. Hey, so-and-so is a guest. Do they still need access to this? Do they not? And you basically say, yes, I still need access, or no, I don't need access. If they don't need access, they will be removed. If they do need access, they'll have to put a justification, and then it'll go through an approval process. So there's lots of ways that we can go around with access reviews. Same concept applies with the access reviews for guests, as we just saw with the entitlement management around the access package, is that, hey, do you still need access to all of these entitlement resources that I've just given you? And that's where we can also provide some of these kind of functionalities with it too. It's a very useful tool. I love access review solely from the idea of doing guest access governance. It will roll out in time here, and like I said, as we add guests to it right now, it's currently active, but as we add guests to it, things will be done to it. So with that being said, that's pretty much the last bit around this identity governance piece I want to talk about. We have just one final discussion around privileged identity management, and that is the next piece here. With that is pretty much everything that we're going to be talking about on this one here. We will be jumping into our last one here, so I will see you on it.